Well, they said 7's great, but 8's even better as your Carolina Hurricanes are still staying hot with another Metro Division win. And we also get to preview an upcoming road trip to the Mile High City against the Colorado Avalanche.
You're Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to a Friday edition of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you to the everydayer for making this your first listen of the day. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, talking everything about your Carolina Hurricanes. I'm your host, Zach Martin. I'm the credentialed Carolina Hurricanes beat writer over at the Hot Careers, where I also do a column on the Chicago Wolves called Wolves Weekly. I'm also the co-host of the SurgeCast, which is a weekly Carolina Hurricanes podcast, along with all my duties here at Locked On Hurricanes. But before I introduce my guest for this evening, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Now, my special guest, you've seen her. She's been on here before, but it's going to be first time under a new banner of her career. She is the Colorado Avalanche beat writer over at the Hockey News, and she's also the host of the SurgeCast. You love her. Friend of the pod as always. We got Bailey Curtis joining me. Bailey, how are you doing tonight?
I'm still in shock at that dig you threw at me in the intro.
Well, it's not a dig at you. It's just a dig at the team you cover.
A dig at the team I cover is a dig at me. Come on, Zach. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on.
So I got this, Katie Bartlett. I know she's going to listen to the show. It's a joke. It's okay. I had to have put a little fun. So, I know Katie's going to be listening. So, Kaylee, it's a joke. just have a little fun. But,
That's crazy.
I mean, are you going to look at me and tell me that I'm wrong? Am I wrong, Doug?
I dish it all the time. I got to learn to take it. So.
I mean, they came down in a bubble, Doug. Like, you look at me and tell me that I'm wrong.
You're gonna look at me anyway.
So on a Friday edition of Locked On Hurricanes, we are going to be recapping the Hurricanes' 5-1 win over the Pittsburgh Penguins to get them their 8th straight win, 10-2 on the season. Talk about a hot start for your Carolina Hurricanes. We're going to do some takeaways, do some standouts from the game as well, because there's a lot of multi-point games, and this time, not Martin Nietzsche, surprisingly enough. He's not one of the guys at a multi-point night. And we are going to preview the Canes against the Avalanche game, which is on Saturday. Now, I don't usually preview games on Saturdays going into our Friday show because, there's still we still have a whole day of Friday to get through when these usually do drops. I don't usually do weekend stuff. But just because it's Colorado, it's a big deal going into, that road trip. And, of course, it's, why not bring someone on from the Avalanche beat who covers them? And, why not do something a little bit different just for this special occasion type game? So don't expect a lot of weekend previews. It's just kind of, one of those, special type editions. So we'll get into all that later in this episode.
I'm honored.
Well, I mean, you should be, but Bailey, how about the Carolina Hurricanes? I mean, outshot, surprisingly enough. We don't usually see that very much. But, hey, now we know what it feels like to be on the opposite side of quality over quantity of 5 goals on, I think it was less than 20 shots in this game. Overall, how about that game for the Carolina Hurricanes, 5-1 over the Pittsburgh Penguins?
I was going to make a joking tweet after the game today. Experience Canes Hawk. Oh, wait.
Wait a minute.
That shot differential isn't something that Canes fans normally see. You mentioned the quantity versus quality, which is a big conversation that we had last year.
During the last few years, honestly. Few years. Yeah, it's always the opposite where it's here's 45 shots for the Hurricanes and 2 goals. This was here's 18 and 5. It's wait, what? And none of them are empty netters either.
Mm-hmm. And you think about another big conversation topic too that's kind of, again, been huge. is the fact that scoring has been one of the big things that the Hurricanes have kind of lacked in the last couple years, which is saying something because we had a lot of scoring up and down the board. Something that the Hurricanes have been known for is that depth scoring, and it's something that other teams have considered to be like incredibly dangerous. And you know what? We're still kind of seeing that. You see Jack Roslovic, who's had an incredible season to start, already hit his
season total from last year. Yep.
Total from last year, which is 59 games, 9 goals. That's not
something
you look at and you're like, okay, great. And so he's already
9 and 12. Like he's already tied. Like his career best, and I've said it all week. His career best is 22 that he did with the Columbus Blue Jackets in the 21-22 season. As of right now, if he keeps this insane pace up, we're looking at 18 and probably 24. Even if that's not the pace he stays on, I would not be surprised if we see 25 goals. And you're like, great, sign him to an extension because it's worked out perfectly. Yeah, so I mean, unfortunately, his Cy Young bid is officially over. He did get an assist. What everyone wants to joke about the goals to assist total for the Cy Young, but yeah, he multi-point game, 2 goals and an assist. Now it's like, hey, you're up to 10.
Yeah.
What a signing by Eric Tulsky and company to get him in here. And how about Eric Robinson too? I mean, those are 2 sneaky signings. I mean, can't go wrong with that, I guess.
I was just saying that exact thing to a friend earlier today too, is I was like, you look at a guy who had 9 goals in 59 games. And I can't say that there are many GMs around the league that are sitting there and saying, I want that guy.
Yeah.
And now he's sitting here and thriving in a system that, not many players look at benefiting from. And it's worked out incredibly for some of these players. This is a team that really thrives on finding what works. You're not looking at a guy who makes $8 million a year and saying, no, he has to play top 6 minutes. You're looking at a guy and saying, does he play well with this person? And can they produce well enough to our standards? And he's absolutely hitting that mark for Rod Brind'Amour and this Hurricanes team. Absolutely.
Well, here's the crazy part too, is like if you listen to his intermission, I think it was the second intermission with Hannah Yates, he says well, by our standards, we're still not quite there yet. And I'm like, wait, you're still not quite there, but you're up 4-0 on 13 shots, and you're like, yeah, we're not quite there yet. I'm like, what? Okay, what is exactly there?
And that's what makes you so excited for this too. Is like there's a ceiling that these guys want.
The mood right now on this team is I've never seen the mood in we're not feeling ourselves for this Hurricanes team. Like, okay, yeah, this team is different this year with how you're looking at just the fact of like, 4 goals on 13 shots, but that's not enough. And I'm like, what?
There's
Wait, what?
There's a standard. There's a ceiling that these guys want to hit, and nothing is going to be good enough because you know what? They've said that in years past. They've had this point where they're like, you know what? This is the team to do it. This is the team we're going to go far. We're going to win this thing. Like there's been that attitude in the locker room in the past couple of years. This year, I think they're kind of straying away from that because again, those standards weren't what they thought they were. Now, nothing is going to be good enough until you get over that final hump in the playoffs. And there's, again, a lot of games to go. But so far, this team looks dangerous.
10-2 to start the season. I mean, 8-game winning streak. You're going into Colorado Saturday. You got Vegas Monday. Then you got the first time ever in Utah later that week as well. So, I mean, not bad to go into a little roadie when you just sweep the homestand like that. Right. You're doing it against mostly division rivals too. Oh, and you absolutely spanked the Boston Bruins on Halloween. Give them a freight. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like this team. It's surprising when you're like, all you see going into the season is, oh well, the Hurricanes are an okay team. They might finish bottom. They might finish like maybe in a wild card spot or miss the playoffs. And it's like. And if you're on the YouTube side of things, you see I'm wearing the Stadium Series jersey. I'm wearing black for those takes because those takes are officially dead. It was cute. You think of the Hurricanes? Yeah. Sorry, my demise was greatly exaggerated. That's where we're at right now.
Amazing.
That's where we're exactly at right now. So yeah, if you're like I said, if you're just listening to the audio side, black jerseys on. Takes are officially dead. I am mourning these takes. Well, actually, no, I'm not mourning. I'm just kind of like. That was cute.
I missed the memo. Whoa.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're only 12 games in, but you know what? This team is on fire right now, and I mean, what more can you say of just how great this team is playing right now? And actually, you know what? We do have more we get to talk about this Hurricanes team, because now we are going to do our takeaways and our standouts and talk a little bit more about the game, so stick around. As we'll do that here in a little bit on a Friday win edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Your sex life is important, but your schedule is busy. You don't have time to go to the doctor's office or get treated for ED. Through HIMS, you can get personalized ED treatment without stepping foot outside the door. Just answer a series of questions on their site, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option. If prescribed, your medication ships directly to you in discreet packaging for free. So start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. Once again, that's hims.com/lockedon. The products mentioned are chewable, compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan with HIMS. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. It filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And we're not talking just sports, concerts, comedy theaters, and so much more. Let's say you want to see American Aquarium, either in Colorado or North Carolina. They can help you out with that. If you want to go see a Broadway play, well, they can take care of that too. And the all-in pricing feature, well, if you toggle this, it shows you your total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Now, my favorite thing of this app is their seat viewfinder, because you get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. So you don't have to worry about obstructed views or awkward angles. It basically takes the guesswork out of buying tickets, and that's what you really need to do with Gametime. So download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONAHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONAHL. That's LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Well, I mean, it's game time. Welcome back to segment 2 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. So we're still going to talk a little bit more about the game, because there's a lot to go over this, because while it's amazing they did win 5-1, it was kind of surprising. I'm just like, they're like, we haven't really gotten there yet. But I mean, you look at the game overall, how about Jack Roslovic, 2 goals and assists for 3 points? We did talk about him. The fact that he did this in 13 minutes and 34 seconds of ice time, talk about having yourself a game, Jack Roslovic.
Oh, yeah. No, he's been incredible for this team. He's, again, we mentioned in the first segment, he's outperformed his last season with the Rangers already. He's proven to be an insane asset for this team, contributing in places where, Rod, of course, expects that out of these guys. He wants them to perform on all facets of the ice in every way imaginable. There are high expectations set for this team, and Jack Roslovic is meeting every single one of them. Somehow has found every single pass needed from other teammates. Got his first assist tonight.
Guys, which is no Cy Young apparently for a lot of people are saying, but hey, 9 goals, 1 assist for 10 points, you'll take that, especially when you're on the line with Aho and Svechnikov and Eric Robinson too. I mean, just for the fact that he's found a way to put himself into the top 6 and that instant chemistry with Nichas, when surprisingly enough, Martin Nichas wasn't one of the guys that got a multi-point night, which is kind of crazy. Yeah. And Sebastian Aho, just a casual, just 2 assists.
Yeah.
You're like, wait, you got 2 assists? Yeah, that's how quietly Sebastian Aho does it. But thankfully, when you get knocked down, you get up again. Mr. Jalen Sheffield, luckily he didn't spill this time on his. That was a scary moment. I like how the fact that even Jacob Slavin tonight was like, wait. Like he was kind of bracing for it. Yeah. First
training wheels this time.
Yeah. How about first multi-point game for Jalen Sheffield? All assists, got 3 of them. I mean, talk about a night for that guy too. Just being able to finding his way into, just being able to make some great passes, finding a way to do his job. And I mean, what more can you say about that too? Just it's great to see, for the fact that it's not always going to be niches with multi-point games. Roslovic, Aho, of course, but you got Jalen Chatfield doing it. I mean, you'll take that. You'll take that any day of the week. So,
second star isn't easy to come by. Or
not on this team right now.
I was going to say, was it second star or third star of the game?
Second star, because Pierre Kochetkov got third star, which we'll talk about here in a second too, because we got to give a lot of flowers to Pierre.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but Jalen Chatfield second star, Jack Roslovic first star of the game tonight. Which it's kind of obvious.
Deserved. Absolutely.
Should have been a shutout, but nothing you did for Piotr. Yeah, that was a fire sell. What can you do? But got the win. That's all that matters.
Yep. So it's something. Again, second star is not easy to come by, especially with a guy like Jalen Chatfield, who plays really, really well in the defensive zone. Maybe doesn't always show up on the score sheet, but he's a really kind of silent difference maker on this team.
Look at Sean Walker. Walker, there's 0 on the board tonight, but him and Shane Gostisbehere.
That pairing is okay. I loved the pairing of Brady Shea and Brett Pesce last year. I think I might enjoy this pairing more. And I'm not just saying that because these two guys are no longer on the Hurricanes.
No, you gotta give them props for what they did for a very long time with the Hurricanes. But you look at Shane Gostisbehere coming back, slipping right in, no issues, and then everyone wanted Sean Walker last year. Now you got him for 5 seasons. Yeah, it
makes my double team heart a little bit happy that you go from one team to watching him on another, and just watching him thrive in both areas has been amazing.
Yeah, but Jalen Chatfield, gotta go back to Jalen Chatfield because you gotta talk more about how great he's been too. You just doing all the right things this year. Him and Orlov have been clicking like it's just just like last season. They're finding ways to get the job done, even if it's on the score sheet. Dmitry Orlov has been coming up pretty clutch the last few games as well. Multi-goal game against Washington. So a lot of multi-points for these Hurricanes.
The Russian that we didn't expect to have a great game against Washington.
Yeah.
To perform in Washington anyway.
Yeah. If you want to talk about Russians just either performing or just not something you would think of, how about Andrei Svechnikov with another tripping, and I'm going to put that in air quotes, tripping, because I'm sorry that Chris Letang is basically built like a cheap lawn chair that gets blown over in like a gust of wind.
Right.
I'm sorry, dude. There's no way you should have flown that far.
On X, it's his union mandated trip to the penalty box.
Oh,
I thought that was amazing.
I think wasn't that Daniel Wagner that put it. I think it was Daniel Wagner that tweeted.
It was.
I think that was him. I think that was Daniel Wagner. If it's not, let me know on X if I got that wrong. Whoever said it, I think it was Daniel Wagner that put it out there, because I'm like,
if it wasn't, whoever it was, props
that was
to
great.
You guys. That was fantastic.
That was But I'm sorry, that's the second penalty in 2 games for Andre where he gets called for a tripping. I'm like, that's not even a trip. That's just him putting his body against someone else's. And it's like, okay, if you want to say roughing or interference,
right?
Sure, I'll go with an interference call. But it's tripping. Where was the trip? It's not my fault that the dude is call the dude for weak. I'm sorry. I'm sorry we have a guy who's a power forward on skates who's got a big body who just knocked you over. And I'm sorry, you're Chris Letang. Why are you falling over so easily? Are you okay? Are your ankles brittle? Are you just not hitting the squat racks enough? Come on, dude. It's like I said, I know you're an easy launcher to push over in the wind, but come on. It's not that serious.
While we're talking about guys who take penalties too, I feel like it's a good place to kind of mention where the Hurricanes kind of set out in the standings in regards to power play and penalty kill. Which, looking up stats,
because I know in the preview I talked about their top 10 in both categories. Once again, no
they
surprise.
sit at 9th for both, which is for a team, where the Hurricanes and fans, we're used to seeing them sitting, casual top 5 in both. We're not quite there yet.
Well, PK mainly, power play last year was, I think, the first time in a while we saw them in the top 5. Usually it's top 15.
And we talk about setting those expectations. This is an expectation we're apparently moving in a trend for. But the
not
Hurricanes,
upset about that.
no, not at all. But the Hurricanes are performing wonderfully in both assets. It's becoming something that other teams are becoming very, very scared of, and it's something that they do keep track of. In the parts of the Penguins game that I did watch today, you could tell that they're worried about the defensive aspect and the offensive aspect, because they're smothering on both sides of the ice. They're trying the man-to-man kind of defensive tactic that the Hurricanes had picked up and since Rod Brind'Amour became head coach. And it's really cool to kind of see them thrive in that process. Because again, we talk about dead takes and things of that nature too. The Hurricanes weren't projected to do very well this season with a lot of the changes that went on. And so to see that prosper in this game as well, to see them hold off that double minor taken by Kokoniemi in the first period, see them hold off everything that they did and thrive in other aspects too is really, really fun to watch as a fan, especially being able to look at other fans and being like, told you so.
Yeah, I mean, heck, when you go 4 for 4 on the PK, of course, one of them being a double minor, you also, the Svechnikov and the Jordan Staal ones, you can't go wrong with that. I mean, it also comes down to your net minor, because how about Peter Kochetkov? In this game, he stopped 35 of 36, but here's the save percentage, which I know is just going to be like, excuse me. How about a .972 save percentage for Peter Kochetkov? I mean, and I said in the preview too, yes, his number is below 9. It's like 8-9 save percentage. I'm like, but you got to look at it too is when you're playing like the Washington Capitals, you give up a couple goals, not a lot of shots. Against the Philadelphia Flyers, you gave up 15 total shots the entire game, but you let in 4 goals. Yeah, your save percentage is going to be a little skewed, but it's under 9. He's not doing good. Well, no, he's doing great. It's just he's not facing a lot of shots, and when he does, unfortunately, some couple 2-3 goals get in, and your save percentage tanks. But this, when you get a 9.72, I mean,
there are some other goalies that I wish held a save percentage like that, but we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later. How about the fact that he actually is like just stoned Evgeny Malkin not once, but twice right in front of the net? I mean, he was making some otherworldly saves against the Penguins. Like, he was close to a shutout, unfortunately, for Blake Lizotte. But, I mean, honestly, Pittsburgh could have had at least 2 more goals tonight, and Pierre Kochetkov was saying, "Niet, not tonight." He's like,
they call him the netminder.
Yeah, I have to say this too. How about that insane breakout pass? He tried to hit Andrei Svechnikov coming out of the box, almost hits him on an absolute sauce aerial. Like, it basically lands right at the blue line, going into the Penguins zone, and he just beat him by a little bit. Like, imagine if he hits Svechnikov's stick perfectly on a breakaway and he scores that. Instant goal of the season, just by the pass alone would have been absolutely fantastic. But Pietr's feeling it all night tonight. 7-1-0 to start the season. I mean,
you can't really ask for anything more from a goaltender, especially with the situation he's been put in with Frederik Andersen being out. He's gotten that starting position that he honestly has been vying for the last year or two.
And the main question was like, how is he gonna, like, is this the time where you give him bulk of the starts? And like, because all you hear is if he plays a lot of games, he gets better when he's playing more. It's like, all right, let's see, it's going to happen. I mean, he's already played 3 games this week. He has another day off. Are they going to throw him against the Avalanche? And for me, I'm like, I just keep riding this. Yeah, you don't want Spencer Martin to get cold, but if Pietr's playing this hot, especially we got Colorado coming up in Vegas, just say you do get a couple of days between Colorado and you get a day off between Colorado and Vegas.
Yeah, which is travel time, which can also be really, really taxing on a player. But I don't know. I've always had kind of mixed emotions when it comes to writing a goaltender and when to do it. I feel like writing a goaltender in playoffs, absolutely 100%, because that's when they're most fired up. That's when they're most gelled to do their best. Whatever. I don't generally lean towards that more so during the regular season because, again, 82 games. That's
so many games. And I agree with you on that one too. Like, I don't usually want to do that, but when you're looking at a possible, I think this is where it's kind of different to where it's you're talking about how you want this guy to be your goalie of the future. Freddie's on his last year of his contract. It's kind of like this might be the perfect time to see how he does playing 4 games in a week, just to see where he's at. And then maybe you go to Spencer Martin for Vegas, which welcome to your first game of the season, Spencer Martin, if you do go throw him in against Vegas. But I feel like I think that, like I said, this is one of those weird situations where it's like, maybe it's a good time to see how he does playing a lot of bulk of these games, if he's going to be that dude for the next, dozen seasons, maybe 10. So it's just one of those things where you're kind of having to be like, it's not a time you really want to do it, but maybe it's a time where you have to kind of figure out, can he sustain 4 games in a week?
And it's something I'll throw back to something Rod said towards the beginning of the season too, is he didn't exactly know what the goaltending situation was going to look like.
Yeah.
But Rod Brind'Amour has never really been the kind of guy to ride one goaltender for most of the season.
Oh yeah. No.
A lot of time, like you're seeing goaltenders split a lot of those games. And, it wasn't that long ago that a lot of people said the Hurricanes' main problem was goaltending. And now you're seeing a situation where you can trust it, right? Like imposter syndrome a little bit.
Yeah.
But you're seeing a situation, with a healthy Frederik Andersen, 2 very, very capable goaltenders. Now, there's not a lot of sample size to go off of in regards to Spencer Martin and his time with the Hurricanes specifically.
4-1-0 last year. I mean, yeah, like you said, it's not a lot, but hey, it's some good signs. He's a good third to have. So I mean,
and so, but you also think about, when was the last time he played that game? So
I mean, he did start for the Chicago Wolves, so it's not like he's been doing nothing. But I mean, AHL compared to the NHL it's a
little difficult. Yeah, you and I both know that very, very well.
Yeah.
But again, we had that conversation about getting cold. When was the last time he had a start? When was the last time he sat behind an NHL team? And so that's where you get a little bit dicey with some of these potentially challenging road trip matchups for the Hurricanes.
It's not gonna be an easy one, that's for sure.
Yeah. Depends on who you ask. But for at least one of them. But again, we'll get to that here in a little bit. But it's really difficult to kind of gauge that, because you want to sit there and say, goaltending's not an issue. But you're sitting here writing a guy who's wanted those starts for forever, and he's finally getting those starts. He's performing well. I'm worried about the potential burnout that's to come, because we know what Pyotr Kochetkov is capable of.
Yeah.
But I can't personally remember the last time we've seen him on this long of a run.
Well, I would say during that long stretch where Freddie was out for pretty much 40 games, and kind of you saw Antti Raanta struggling a good bit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say this long, but I can definitely see a case where it's like, okay, we're going to play you against Colorado. We're going to give you Vegas off, and let's going to throw Spencer Martin in, just to give him like, all right, let's see how you do in the four games in a week, and then we'll throw Spencer in against Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, hey, Spencer, let's throw in against Colorado, save Peter for Vegas. Who knows?
Right.
But but that's something like that Rod and goaltending coach Paul Schoenfelder are going to figure out and stuff like that, because it's a collaborative effort. But I don't know. It'll definitely be interesting for sure. So before we go to our preview, Bailey, who would be your standout in this game for the Penguins? Well, against the Penguins for the Carolina Hurricanes. Who is your standout player if you had to pick one?
We stick into skaters or whole roster?
Whole roster.
While we're talking about goaltenders, I mean, I have to give that to Pyotr Kochetkov, to be completely honest. Because again, I've preached this multiple times. You've heard me preach this multiple times.
I feel like I have a few times, but refresh my memory.
A goaltender is only as good as the team in front of him. I have held that belief for a long, long time. And of course, there are exceptions to that rule, just as there are exceptions to every rule. This, I don't know if it's an exception, but you can't sit there and deny that, yes, while he has had an amazing team playing in front of him for eight games straight, it's 8 straight win, he's been holding down the net. Of course, he's had a couple of mistakes, and there's learning and room to grow. Again, you're seeing the guy who's been vying for starts finally get that and feeling things out a little bit, but there's also something to be said about the amount of confidence that he holds in net at at such a young age for starting goaltender.
Yeah.
And I personally think there's been a lot of impressive things to talk about on this team, but Pyotr Kochekhov's been the shining star for me.
Yeah, I mean, hey, year 2 into a 4-year deal that's only paying him $2 million per season. Not upset for the Carolina Hurricanes for that one. It's like
Sidney Crosby's not an easy guy to sit and defend against,
or of getting Malkin to multiple times on the doorstep. I mean,
yeah.
Talk about a few 10 bills, that's for sure.
Yeah, so to sit there and post that performance against maybe a whole team that's not the best in the league, but guys that are considered, guys to watch in this league. Like it's an impressive performance.
Yeah, my Pittsburgh Penguins for the wild card pick is not looking great so far. I mean, it's still early in the season, but I'm like, guys, I didn't want to project against you because you still are Sidney Crosby and I'm getting Malkin, but I digress. My standout, we've already talked about him, so just got to give him his roses. Jack Roslovic. I mean, come on.
What you did there. Yeah.
Sorry.
You're on a roll tonight. Whoa.
I don't know. I don't know about that. But, yeah, I mean, just Jack Roslovic. I mean, what more can you say about this guy? I mean, fellow Ohioan, dude's from Columbus. You'd love to see it. I know a lot of my mutual friends back home are loving to see how good Jack Roslovic's playing. Like we already talked about it too, Bailey, 9 goals already in 12 games, matches his total from last year with the Jackets and the Rangers. I could see him getting 25 goals this year. Just even if his pace kind of dips down a little bit, I could easily see 25 out of this guy. And you're like, okay, you paid him $2.8 million. No one thought he was going to be this good. He was into a system that fits his speed and bags that many goals for you. Yeah. Contract extension right now, 2 to 3 years, knock it out, or give him 2 seasons, and like, all right, cool. Let's see how this runs out next year. But just how he's been playing on the top line, I don't think anyone saw him on the top line with SurgeCast and Aho, and they're playing really well. And we talked about Eric Robinson for a little bit too. I mean, heck, even Robinson's playing well, and no one thought he was gonna be. Everyone thought he was gonna be like a healthy scratch or a fourth liner, and him and Nietzsche's and Kakaniemi. KK even had a couple chances tonight. Just unfortunately, Delkovich denied him on that one. But yeah, like who would have thought like that top 6 would be absolutely on fire right now? And of course, Jarvie with the Jordans.
Again, I was talking to my friend about this earlier today too. Again, that whole you're paying a guy for playing top 6 minutes doesn't exist in this system. You're looking at chemistry, and I have never seen.
The flexibility is so great.
The versatility on this team makes it so exciting to watch because you're not seeing the same thing every night, which is really exciting too. And you get to see a little bit of personality come through with each switch, which I think is really cool. But the one thing I will say is I have never seen a Jarvis Jordan line go wrong ever.
No, that's a line that you're kind of like in your back pocket. Yeah, they'll score and throw some bodies. And I mean, Jackson Blake on the 4th line with Jack Drury and William Carrier. Sure. Just another
casual.
I think Corey Lavalette posted. Remember when 4th lines what they used to look like in Carolina's like a checking line? Nah, we'll just score everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah,
we call that depth.
Yeah. Well, apparently the Hurricanes don't have. Didn't you know Hurricanes don't have depth scoring? They don't have superstars on their team.
Ooh, oh,
wait, did you also hear they have no goaltending?
Anyway,
that's why I wore the black. That's why I wore the black.
Those ad reads were a perfect opportunity for me to throw something else on, but it's whatever.
Yeah, well, I got one more ad read coming up, so guys, stick around as we will be previewing the Colorado Avalanche and the Carolina Hurricanes in a little bit. Of course, we got the Colorado Avalanche beat writer on. So, got to do a little bit of preview. So stick around as we'll do that here in a second on a winning Friday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Welcome back to segment 3 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. And now we're going to roll into our preview of your Carolina Hurricanes going into Colorado to face the Colorado Avalanche on Saturday night. I know this is particularly, I know it's a Canes after dark, but luckily it's a Saturday. And it's not a super late one either. It's not like a 10 o'clock start, thank goodness, because, oh, boy, those 10 o'clock starts kill you. It will be 9 o'clock at night, so it's not as bad.
Still have the coffee ready.
Still have the coffee ready for sure, and the energy drinks. It will be on the FanDuel Sports Network South. No surprising there. 99.9 The Fan. Listen to Mike and Tripp, as always. Hannah Yates will be with the team. Shane Willis probably will still be back in Raleigh because they don't send the whole crew there. If you are in Colorado, it'll be on altitude. They finally got that whole thing figured out. And, of course, ESPN Plus if you're not in either of those regions. Your Carolina Hurricanes, 10-2-0. Surprising. Shocker. 8-game winning streak. The Colorado Avalanche, oh, boy. 6-7-0 to start the season. This is one of 2 matchups. And surprisingly enough, it's not a fall time and a March matchup. This is a November 9th on Saturday in Colorado, and then December 5th on a Thursday at 7 p.m. So, again, these knocked up pretty quick, Bailey. I'm kind of surprised at the fact we're not getting a, like I said, fall time March-ish date. It's like, no.
We're getting
not even 2025. You're done. You don't have to see the Colorado until the Stanley Cup final. Well,
so, and I will say, little caveat in your stats. We are the Avalanche are currently 6-8-0 with their loss to the Winnipeg Jets tonight.
Oh, it's official. Okay.
Yes.
As we were recording, the game wasn't officially done yet, so we're just going by what NHL.
They officially wrapped up a little bit ago. It was a 1-0 loss to the Winnipeg Jets, who are first in the league for anybody maybe not paying attention.
1-0. What is this? What is this? What is the dead puck era of hockey?
Let's talk about this, okay? While we're going into a preview, the Avalanche are coming off of a 5-3 win against the Seattle Kraken, who only sit 2 places behind them. But this Winnipeg Jets team is a team that has only lost 1 game. Surprise, shocker, against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And this is a team who is known for their goal differential, known for high scoring games. And the Avalanche, who have been plagued by injury, talk about an injury bug hitting hard. This Avalanche team, who is composed of mostly bottom 6 rookie lineup, held the Winnipeg Jets, one of the top scoring teams in the NHL currently, to 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta give them a lot of credit, that's for sure. And the thing is that your team is basically held by guys of Kel McCarr, Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, and Casey Milstead, then a bunch of dudes. Yeah,
Put some more respect on those bunch of dudes' names, though. We'll talk more about that in a little bit.
We'll talk more about them. Yes, I mean, you got Ivan, which is still an absolutely
best hockey name ever.
Honestly, Kovalenko too. Can't go wrong with a name like that. So I mean, I'll give them some credit. They got some names. But I mean, like you said, the Avalanche were on a winning streak. Unfortunately, this past streak of losing to Chicago, Tampa, Nashville, beating Seattle, now losing to Winnipeg. Not a great stretch run of the last 5 games for Colorado. But I mean, what can you really do at that point? It's just a bad, like you said, bad stretch run. Injuries are occurring. It's just
when you lose a guy like Ross Colton, who was having the best start of his career with Colorado, takes a shot to the foot, it breaks his ankle, or breaks his foot.
One of those like freak things, or like how
the thing is, talk about Iron Man. Played a couple shifts to end the second, didn't come back out for the third. But played on a broken foot for a couple of shifts until he was like, nah, I can't do this anymore. It's and then you lose him for 6 to 8 weeks. You lose Miles Wood for 7 to 10 days on the same exact night, unfortunately.
And you're still waiting for Landeskog to come back too. I mean, that's just
Especially with all of the
I love Landy. I mean, as someone who's got Swedish connections, family from there, and Landy's one of my favorite Swedes. It's like that sucks that you're still waiting for him to come back too, because he's been dealing with. If no one's watched that NHL face-off documentary on Prime yet, please do. That, I mean, I know he's in that captain's episode. I mean, some of the episodes are kind of like, okay, I can see what their connections are, but just
that whole captain's episode was fantastic, and you got
especially with Landy too
a little bit, because you look at last playoffs, and he was like that win against Dallas was a lot more heartbreaking. Yes, Avs fans, Matt Duchene was the one that ended it, and that kind of hurts your heart a little bit more.
Of course,
but it hurts even more past that once you realize just how close Landeskog was to pulling the trigger and saying, "No, I'm back." And especially with all the rumors going around lately, Bednar went on Altitude Sports Radio and said he's had a few instances where he's kind of pulled back a little bit because things were bothering him, and they totally respect that and work around that. And they're not going to push this because this is a serious, potentially career-ending surgery that he had. Rumor going around that it was potentially more major than anybody ever expected it to be, which we're still waiting on confirmation on.
Right.
It's not really something you want to hear. Hearing the word retirement come after a major setback is a little bit of a difficult pill to swallow for some people.
Yeah, well, especially for a guy like Landeskog, who's been there and done that he's basically an Avalanche's entire career. Finally wins a cup with the team in 22, and it's like that's not really how you want to go out. Where it's like you win the cup and then you get injured, then you get the surgery, then you've been fighting to come back for like 2 seasons now.
Which again, talk about injury ridden too. That Stanley Cup winning team was full of injury too.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want to see for a guy like Landeskog to go out like that. Like you want to see him go out on his terms and not here's a freak injury in the playoffs that saw you win a cup, but now you've been sidelined for 2 seasons.
And a lot of things that people are keeping an eye on too for Canes fans who are interested. It's not exactly the same sport. Lonzo Ball had the exact same surgery that Gabe Landeskog had, and that's what a lot of reporters are kind of looking at in regards to a timeline. Lonzo Ball has returned to play, and I put returned in quotation marks because he's not fully back. They're still kind of pacing him, feeling that out a little bit, again, because it is a really, really serious surgery and it's not something that they want to push.
Right.
And so that's been kind of eyed for a timeline, and we're kind of getting to that mark for Landeskog. But again, in the way that I look at it, hockey can be a little bit more taxing on the knees and movement.
Knees,
in general.
feet, ankles. Yeah, like Tom Brady just put out a video on socials today, and like how it's like first time getting on skates in 40 years, and he's like, "Jeez," and he's like, "Gotta give props to hockey players, man. They are."
You don't realize as a fan unless you've played the sport. Just like I remember when I went to my first learn to skate thing with a former NHLer, funny enough, in Monument, got on the ice and I hurt after that hour-long session. Like it was bad because he worked our butts off. And I go up to him and I was like, I don't know how y'all do this. And he was like, it's the most humbling sport. It really is.
100% too. And then you saw the video with like just Shane and Tripp just trying to do Bill Burnison's bike sessions, and you look gassed watching them get gassed. That's how insane it is. It's just this sport is absolutely insane. And and if you want to talk about insane, looking at the team stats, because we usually do the tail of the tape, like, all right, how are the teams stacking up so far this season? And I have to say, the Colorado Avalanche right now, the stats haven't been completely updated yet because we're still waiting for the NHL now, NHL.com to kind of do their behind the scenes thing where they're still kind of taking forever to get done. So right now, second for the Colorado Avalanche at 37% of the power play. Hurricanes are at 24.3. Might be a little less now since they went 0 for 1, which, I mean, what can you do with one power play? Penalty kill, 9th in the league for the Hurricanes at 84.8. This was kind of surprising for me, but I guess, of course, I haven't really watched a total of 0 Avalanche games just because of how late those games are. 68.6% of the penalty kill, 29th in the league. Like, that's kind of surprising for an Avalanche team who's usually kind of more towards the top half in terms of the penalty kill, but 29th.
It's
like
not,
you said, injuries and different guys
yeah.
filling in and stuff like that.
So you're seeing a
lot of grain of salt stats, essentially.
Yeah, and a couple of those came off of really unfortunate 5-on-3 opportunities for opposing teams against the Avs.
Oh yeah, one of the 5-on-3. I think this might be the new norm for the Hurricanes too.
So it's something that, with defense maybe not showing up as much as Jared Bednar has been looking for. Notably, he mentioned in an interview before the Seattle game is Devon Toews really hasn't performed up to his standards.
That's surprising too, because for how good everyone talks about how good Devon Toews is defensively, how like they're saying, oh well, he's better than Jacob Slavin, or he's like one of the top defensive defensemen. And it's like that dude is struggling this year, surprisingly enough.
And Bednar's done a lot of flip-flopping with the defensive pairings too. Like we've seen a lot of Makar Girard and Taves kind of get moved down to that second pair, which has been a little interesting to kind of see that. But Bednar's also mentioned like he does that a lot with the forward lines too, just to try and attempt to get something going. And that's really all he's looking for is that spark. And he just hasn't gotten that yet out of guys like Devon Toews and that penalty kill unit.
Yeah, and like you said too, it's also tough when like you have a lot of your forwards out, then you're usually, and you can't rely on a top heavy line of McKinnon and then insert name here. So it's like it's that stuff, and then you do have Casey Milstead who's been doing pretty well as all things considered, but that's still a tough place to be in where it's kind of like, okay, well you got McKinnon and Rantanen in Middlestat. Who do you go with after that? I guess you got Kovalenko, you got Ivan, you got O'Connor. But yeah,
let's also mention to the Avalanche too, one of the bright lights has been getting Arturi Lehkonen back. So he's been able to slot on that top line with McKinnon and Rantanen. Still waiting on word for Duran, who unfortunately went out the first game of the season. He's my fantasy team was not really happy about that. I'm so sorry about that because I'm the whole reason you picked him. I am so sorry.
And, my fantasy team had a slow start last year. I'm not upset about it. But like you said, Lehkonen comes back first game, multi-point, 1 goal, 1 assist. I mean, heck. Yeah. Not bad for your first game back. Face-offs, pretty much dead even. Carolina's 49%. Avalanche 45.9, 21st and 28th. Now, the Hurricanes, 4.17 goals for. Of course, now they added 5 tonight. Third in the league. Colorado's at 8th at 3.54. So I would not be surprised if we had a barn burner in this one. I mean, we saw a 10-goal game against the Flyers, and now you're talking about an Avalanche team who just absolutely just runs and guns, especially when you got Nathan McKinnon running on chickpea mac and cheese, but that's all different.
This is also a great opportunity to mention too that Canes fans need to watch out for too is Cale Makar is currently on track to break Bobby Orr's record of a season opening point streak for a defenseman, which is currently at, again, 15 with Bobby Orr. Makar just hit 14, I believe, tonight, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, no, point streak. The Avalanche did not score, so that unfortunately has been broken at 14.
Oh, so close.
Wow. So
that sucks.
That breaks for both McKinnon and Makar. So I mentioned those point streaks, totally forgetting the score, but also moving into they're going to be looking to get back on track with some point streaks.
Yeah, losing it like that and getting shut out and losing that too. Yeah, there's gonna be a mad Avalanche team on Saturday night.
Yeah, so
at home,
with a potentially full barn. It's been a little slow in filling seats, unfortunately, with the record that they've had. But this is, again, a mad Avalanche team. McKinnon and Makar are going to be looking to start those point streaks back up again. You look at a guy who won the Hart Trophy last year, another guy who was a finalist for the Norris, who are already making strides to make more cases for themselves this year too. So
yeah, definitely something to watch out for. And then here's the absolutely insane part. Hurricanes, second in the league with goals allowed at 2.33. Have yourself a holding your teams to nothing. Colorado Avalanche.
We don't need to talk about it, Zach.
4.15 Dead last in the NHL. They score a lot of goals. They also give up a lot of goals, and I'm saying, Billy, right now, I mean, for you, I know this is tough for you because you love both of these teams. Carolina's first, Colorado's
Both
second,
the best and worst day of my life on some days.
but you're also the Colorado Avalanche beat writer for the Hockey News. How do you feel seeing that stat line where the Hurricanes are where they're at? They're shooting the lights out. It also not letting a lot of goals in, and then you see Colorado shooting the lights out, but then also getting their lights shut out as well.
It's something, talk about lights. It's something that should scare the ever living daylights out of both the team and fans. Sitting in Colorado and loving this team.
Oof, yeah, because looking at the goaltending right now, and oh boy,
so it gives us an opportunity to talk about this.
Yeah, so you're looking at now. So I know it's Justus Antonin. I'm hoping I get
Justus
this right.
Antonin.
Justus Antonin, sorry. 5-2-0, so he does have a winning record. 894 save percentage and 264 goals against. Okay, not terrible, not terrible. Mm-hmm. You would not think that he'd be starting more than Alexander Georgiev, who everyone thought he was supposed to be the heir apparent to Darcy Kemper and supposed to be that dude. 1-4 in 6 games, 822 save percentage. Oof, Maroons, with a 462 goals against. I know they had Kakinen as well. He played in 1 game, 800 save percentage, 4.12. I'm not giving him a whole lot of grief since it was like 16 of 20. What can you do when you played 1 game? But Alexander Georgiev, oh my gosh, what is happening?
There's a reason, and I feel bad bringing this nickname up too. He was given the name Georgiev during playoffs last year, and unfortunately, that nickname has kind of carried on into the beginning of this season, and it's not something that Avalanche fans are loving. Right? You look at a team that on paper is incredibly dangerous, when fully healthy, but that goaltending. Again, team is only as good as the goaltender is only as good as the team in front of him. This is kind of one of those exceptions, I believe, for me. You're looking at a goaltender in Alexander Georgiev who played backup to Igor Shesterkin. Kind of looked on to a guy like that who was getting to what we call God tier in goaltending, and kind of backing that up is a little rough to watch.
This year. Shesterkin's struggling this year, but that's a different conversation. But yeah.
Anyway, he goes to the Avalanche and hopes to finally get that starting position that he was vying for, and he got it. And for a while there, he looked really, really competent. Looked like an NHL goaltender who was worthy of a starting position.
Yeah.
Now it just looks like his mental game is off, and he looks like he's slow moving laterally. His positioning has been really, really poor at sometimes. Now, I'll give it to him this game. He let in 1 goal. That goal was kind of whatever. I don't think he played a bad game this game. Right. I think he played really, really well against, the top team in the league. His confidence is hit or miss, and it's really, really tough for the team in front of him to play confident knowing that, you want a goaltender to bail you out of a couple. And Georgiev, unfortunately, has not been able to do that in the couple starts that he's had for the Avalanche. Justus Antonin had 4 of those 5 wins in that 5-game winning streak that the Avalanche had. And that was enough to convince fans that maybe this is more of a competition than Jared Bednar originally let on at the beginning of the season.
Right.
Justus Antonin, he's coming up on being the official backup for the Avalanche, coming from the Eagles, played fairly well for the Eagles last season. And he saw that he had his opportunity and ran with it, and he ran off with it. Absolutely, 5 wins is something to be proud of. And it's something you look at, and it makes you question things. Now, Kakinen was brought in because of that kind of poor start to the season to potentially give the Avalanche another option. He's been practicing a lot with the team. He's done a lot of great work in those practices and morning skates. we just haven't really seen, again, we talked about sample size a little bit with Spencer Martin. That's kind of the situation that we're in here with Kakkonen too.
I mean, one game, like what can you
right.
You can't take away a whole like, oh, this is how this guy is. It's like, well, it's one game, and he let in four. He saved 16 of 20.
Yeah, which in that game he didn't look terrible either. He looked like a guy who was coming out of getting all of his immigration stuff figured out, going off of a huge situation there with Canadian Thanksgiving and figuring all that out. You go on a conditioning loan to the Eagles and you drop both of those games. But even Aaron Schneekloth of the Eagles said that there was a lot of confidence and a lot of skill to be seen in Kakkonen that maybe hasn't been unleashed yet. He's a great guy with a great attitude on the ice. And that's really all you can ask for on the ice. And those games, I don't think he played terribly in either. So that goaltending situation, it's a tough race. That's really, talk about a work in progress. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on for sure, especially when you go into the game for Kansas against Colorado, because it's like you have one of the hottest teams right now who has the longest winning streak, because they did tie Winnipeg for their 7th. Hurricanes just won their 8th, so now they own the longest winning streak of the season. And they're not even in. The Hurricanes are acting like they're not even hitting their full potential yet, and they're absolutely smacking pretty much. Now, I think the Flyers game was more of a trap game than Pittsburgh was, but they are absolutely smoking everyone right now. And they got Colorado, who, like you said, Bailey, they did lose 1-0, but also been struggling. They might be a mad Avs team, but I don't know. You're talking a mad team against a team that's on a heater right now. We could potentially either it's going to be a barn burner or this could be oh my gosh, this game will never end. For
Colorado is going to want to come out with their A game for this one. It's something that Jared Bednar is really going to be looking for, that bottom 6 to start early, like they did against Seattle. They're going to want to create that as much as possible during this game with the Hurricanes. The other thing that Hurricanes fans might want to watch out for is the Hurricanes have the worst losing streak in Ball Arena. This is something that the in-arena reporter Rachel Tawes touched on the last time the Hurricanes visited Mile High City. Worst losing streak inside of Ball Arena. The Avalanche had the best record against them in their own barn. The Hurricanes also have a little bit of injury woes to worry about coming out of Denver as well. You look at the past 3-2 matchups before last year. You lose Frederik Andersen with a torn MCL. You lose Captain Jordan Stahl to a concussion from Cale Makar. Or he goes into some sort of head injury protocol.
It's concussion protocol, stuff like that. You lose Freddie Anderson like 2 weeks before the playoffs, and now you're running on Antti Raanta.
Jacob Slavin becomes a highlight reel against Nathan McKinnon last year, which is it's something that they still show on the Jumbotron, unfortunately.
Thanks for that reminder.
Or fortunately, however.
Depends on who you ask.
But definitely want to keep an eye and make sure that this Hurricanes team is going in conditioned, going in ready, and going prepared to go up against what may be a very, very angry, very, very hungry Avalanche team.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, so we're going to usually I do like 3 keys of the game and like 3 players to watch, but we're going to keep this pretty simple. Give me your key to the game for the Avalanche and 1 player to watch from both teams.
Key to the game for the Avalanche, again, is going to be that early start. The Hurricanes have been known to capitalize on mistakes and getting started early. We saw that in tonight's game against Pittsburgh. So the Avalanche are going to want to get a head start on it. So, okay, I'm going to change my key. Sorry. You're going to want to have great starts and great ends to the period. You can't fall short on either end of each period because that's where momentum is lost, especially with this Avalanche team. Players to watch. I want to go the big one and say McKinnon. can't go wrong with who is currently leading this locker room, who is the shining voice of this locker room, and who has been a key in a lot of past games against the Hurricanes and wins for that team. He has a lot of speed. He has an incredible amount of skill, and his on-ice awareness in the offensive zone is top tier. It's something that the Hurricanes defense is going to have to watch out for. That penalty kill they've known to be a little bit lethal on. The Hurricanes have kind of struggled with that special teams matchup in the past. And McKinnon has kind of helped spearhead that. So McKinnon, keep an eye on him. Avs fans, player to watch for the Hurricanes, Martin Necas is going to be my guy, who, after signing his 2-year deal, has been on an incredible run with
Stay blonde, man. He's on an 8-game point streak after turning blonde.
Yeah.
Sorry, the frosty tips.
Makes you want to buy a bleaching kit yourself and get it done. But no, Martin Necas has been incredible for this Hurricanes team, showing why he's deserving of that contract, showing why he wants everybody to sit there and believe, I'm capable of more than what I've maybe shown you in the past. Yeah. You look at last year's run against the Avalanche at PNC, or formerly PNC, now Lenovo, where he had a natural hat trick in the first period. And this is something that Avalanche team, I believe, is going to be watching out for as well, because they know exactly what Martin Necas is capable of. It's just a matter of watching out for that again.
Yeah, well, you're talking about Martin Necas, who kind of had an up and down season last year, but now you're getting a Martin Necas who's on an 8-game point streak, like 21 points in the first 12. Like, this dude's almost averaging 2 points a game. Yeah, that might be a slight problem, especially for that. My key to the game for the Hurricanes, man, it's just you gotta stay structured in this one. You gotta play some solid defense because, like you said, Bailey, you got an angry Avalanche team. McKinnon, you got Rantanen, you got, I've said his name, Casey Millstat. Don't overlook that dude. Cal McCarr. Like, you're looking for a team who wants a bounce back, and why not have a bounce back against one of the hottest teams in the league right now? Mm-hmm. You're just gonna have to stay structured and find your game and keep doing what's been working. That's why you're on an 8-game winning streak. But if you play anywhere outside of that parameter, this Avalanche team will find a way to kill you, because while they are giving up a lot of goals, they're still scoring a lot too. So you're probably gonna have to play your best defense against a 6-8 Avalanche team. And I'm putting that in air quotes because they're not a 6-8 team.
Fyodor Kochetkov has to watch those shots from the blue line this time too.
Yeah, unfortunately for sure. So my Avalanche I'm going to keep an eye on is you kind of want to stay away from the big boys, but it's kind of hard not to pick them. Cale Makar, that dude is he's unreal right now. I mean, like you said, his point streak to start the season did get snapped, but I mean, it's all hail Cal for a reason. If you're an Avalanche fan, and it's just one of those things where it's it's one of those things that you have to find a way to shut that dude down, because if he does anything against you, it's going to be a long night for sure. Mm-hmm. Now, for my Carolina Hurricane, I mean, Martin Necas, I would love to talk about him. I would love to say Jack Roslovic just because of the start he's on, but honestly, I'm kind of looking at Sebastian Aho. Yes, he does have 12 points. It's 3 goals and 9 assists, but for me, it's kind of like he's doing it so quietly on his points, like it's fine. Like he's still a point per game guy, but for me right now, if you're considered a superstar and you're getting paid as much money as you are still doing your job. None of this is disparaging or a criticism to him, but you're expected to be the guy who's supposed to kind of lead the team in the points, lead the team in goals, do what you need to do on the stat sheet. Well, like I said, he is at 12 points, not super far behind the other guys, but now you're at 3 goals. Where you look at that, Svechnikov with 5, Necas is at 7, Jack Roslovic's at 9, Shane Gostisbehere is ahead of you as well. And it's like I said, it's not a critical critique, or it's not being critical against him. But if you're going to be the superstar that you are saying that you are, you need to be. I know you have slow starts, but this is a game where you kind of have to make your mark against guys that people are like Nathan McKinnon, superstar, Cal McCarr, superstar. Okay, well, here's Sebastian Aho. And for me, it's you gotta hope this game is a kickstart to a run. Let's say 5 goals in the next 10 or 5 in the next 8. We just need to see a run out of Sebastian Aho, and I think like I said, I'm fine with where he's at points wise. You love to see it, point per game. But if you're talking about a guy who just finished 1 point short of 90 last year, you kind of need to see this guy become a guy who's going to take over a hockey game. Yes, he scored 2 game-winning goals in overtime on the road trip, but
this is also something that Hurricanes fans want to watch out for too, as I rein in my Avalanche talk. November can be considered kind of a taboo month for the Hurricanes. They've been known to really, really struggle in the month of November. And
as of right now, they're not. So knock on wood, they are not. They're starting really well in November. We're not putting some bad juju on that. But.
So just to bring to everybody's attention, I'm staying neutral here, as neutral as possible. But this is something to keep your eye on, because this Hurricanes team has been known to struggle in the month of November. And as of right now, they're on an incredible hot streak and hoping not to get in and fall into that hole again. So
yeah, definitely don't want that for sure. And like I said, Sebastian is playing well. I'll give him a lot of credit that he is doing that. But I do need to see the superstar who's going to put up a bunch of goals, because it's like, well, he starts slow. Okay, I understand that, but now you've got guys who are almost closing in on double digits already, and one of them is not him. So it's just, like I said, it's not. I'm not mad. I mean, it's not a massive critique, but when you're sitting behind Roslovic, Nichis, Svechnikov, Jarvis, and Jackson Blake, and you're tied with Eric Robinson, who's playing 11 minutes and 52 seconds on average time on ice per game, and you're at 1937. And Jackson Blake's at 11:04, and Roslovic's at 13:32, and then he's on the same line with you. Of course, the average has gone up a little bit, and like I said, it's nothing against him, but it's just when you're a +1 after 12 games, he is second in shots behind Svechnikov, and like I said, he's pretty much. I think he leads all forwards in time on ice. And, got to talk about goals real quick in terms of the defense. Gosper's got 4. Orlov's got 3.
This is going to be a big defense game. Defense heavy.
Oh, defense for sure. I won't be surprised there's a lot of scoring too. But you're, like I said, for me, it's just Sebastian Aho. I really want to see him just be that guy. Like, we need a Sebastian Aho takeover. Like, his goals have become on a empty netter and 3-on-3s. He's had no 5-on-5 goals yet, and it's just one of those things where I hope he does something. Like I said, I'm not, like, I'll keep repeating it, not a critique. Don't get it twisted. It's just you need to see him be that dude.
I think even
especially
he would consider this. I think he would consider this a rough start to the season.
Yeah, this is the game where you want to. This is the game where you want to kick that into gear and be like, absolutely. No, I am a superstar. When you want to do it against other superstars like these guys, this is the game to do it for sure. But it'll definitely be very interesting. I know it's a longer episode than we usually do, guys. We usually try to keep it to 30 minutes, but we're trying to do a recap and a special preview. So yeah, it's a little bit longer, but I hope everyone does enjoy this, super extended edition of Locked On Hurricanes. But Bailey, thank you so much for coming on, and as always, having you come on and just talk and stuff like that. But yeah, before we let you go, where can people find you and your articles going over the Colorado Avalanche?
Yeah, keep it super short and sweet. Find me over on X at Bailey Curtis, and that is Bailey with 2 eyes. Find my articles over at the Hockey News Colorado Avalanche site.
Yep, and then of course you probably got a link somewhere in your bio.
Yeah, find my link in my bio over on my socials. You can find all my articles and everything there. Look out for a pregame article coming sometime in the next or tomorrow morning, I should say. So
yes, make sure and of course check out the SurgeCast, because she is here at Carolina Hurricanes fan as well. So make sure to check her on that podcast.
I have a couple takes.
Just some takes. Of course, you want to keep it everything that I got going on. That's One True Zach on X. The podcast is LO_Hurricanes. But thank you for making this your first listen today, by the way, guys. And for your second listen, find Locked On Fantasy Hockey, become a fantasy hockey expert, and get the edge over your league mates with daily tips from Steal and Flip. Find Locked On Fantasy Hockey on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. I do have a link to in my bio where you can check out all my articles at the Hacker Errors, or just go to thehackererrors.com. You can find my author page where you can find all the stuff that I do covering your Carolina Hurricanes, also your Chicago Wolves, if you're into the AHL type of things. For the SurgeCast, just go to all podcast platforms.
You have another podcast?
Yes, another podcast. Just go to all podcast platforms and on YouTube. Just look up the SurgeCast. You'll find it. It's there, pretty simple. For this show, same thing. Locked On Hurricanes on all podcast platforms. Leave a 5-star rating and review because I might just ring on the show. YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you don't miss the show. Hit the thumbs up button. Let me know you like the show as well. And in the comments, who is your Carolina Hurricanes player that you're going to be watching in the game against Colorado, and what was your favorite moment from the 5-1 win against the Pittsburgh Penguins? Share this podcast with other Canucks who become everydayers just like you, because we are well over 1,000 subscribers. Let's keep this thing going. Let's get to 2, 5, 10. Let's just keep the train rolling and bringing in more subscribers and have fun here, guys. But I hope everyone enjoyed the Friday episode of Locked On Hurricanes, the very extended edition with Bailey. Hope everyone has a good Friday. Hope everyone has a great weekend, especially watching the game against the Colorado Avalanche on Saturday night.
And if you're coming into Colorado, stay warm.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, it's the last snow right now. Make sure to bundle up if you are going to be traveling to Colorado. But until next time, guys, as always, let's go Canes.